others and create a safe environment where we can express our ideas.
I mean, some challenges I faced maybe have been like mainly if I'm not getting my name right or something. Like, and it's a small detail. It's a small things though that like people don't get my name right or don't spell my name right. And you know I don't expect people to, but it's kind of just the little things. You know, it's like not a, it doesn't have to be a huge thing here or anything like that. But it's the small things, the small glances, the small just like, I don't know, things like that.
I think. All right, thank you, ladies. Hey, let's expand this a little bit beyond Nordhoff High School into the OI community. What's it like being Hispanic here in this town?
Well, again, like Nordhoff, it's predominantly white. Ojai is predominantly white. Growing up, going to USC schools from Topa and Hillhawks here, I'd say it's really easy to feel disconnected from our culture. Again, it's again relating and being around our peers. But at the same time, there has been great experiences that we have been given to be able to express in our cultures. For example, I know Lizzie, Vanessa, and I are part of Mariachi Ojai, which is a youth mariachi directed by Mr. Ramirez, and I feel like he has created a great space for us to express best of both worlds. And I know Mr. Ramirez, shout out to him, has been doing a lot of work for the Hispanic community, especially students and parents.
Okay, any challenges you've experienced?
Well, not me personally, because I'm privileged enough to know both Spanish and English, but I know that's not the case for every student or parent, so I know it can be difficult when documents aren't translated or just like simple things like class syllabuses or, you know, homework and stuff. And I think that, I mean, I like already had a difficult time doing college applications, and I was, you know, I have resources to be able to go, you know, to the College and Career Center, all that, but I know that that's not the case for a lot of Spanish-speaking families. So I think if we provided more, you know, resources for Spanish-speaking families and college applications, that would help a lot.
All right, let's focus back on Nordhoff High School. What are some things Nordhoff can do to make your experience better?
Well, I know they did the pan dulce and the hot chocolate for Hispanic Heritage Month, and I think that was cool, but I also feel like there could be other things implemented throughout the month, not just one day. For example, like just Hispanic history or just culture appreciation, I think would be nice.
And really, I think we can expand that from just Hispanic Heritage Month, learning about different cultures, and just hear different experiences and stories from the students at Nordhoff.
I think we should have a mariachi one day at lunch in the quad. Yeah, that'd be pretty dope, don't you think? Yeah.
Hey, by a vote of applause, how many would like to hear a mariachi? All right, we're running into a few technical difficulties. We're getting this addressed right now. Is there anything that you want to add that you haven't been able to add, aside from the questions that we're asking here, before we open up the mic to the crowd? And if you guys have any questions you want to ask the panel, we're going to give you an opportunity to do so in just a minute.
Yeah.
All right, any questions from the audience that you would like to ask our panel? Who's the brave soul going to ask the first question so that we don't have to stare awkwardly at each other? Okay, here's that moment of awkward silence. Mr. Dickey, thank you.
So,
Can you stand up?
what steps can Nordoff students take to make our Hispanic American students and classmates feel more welcome and a part and given a seat at the table in our community, our culture here at Nordoff? How can we empower Hispanic Americans to feel not only equal but participating?
Well, I think that it goes with the matter of just treating everyone as equal and treating everyone with respect. I don't think it should just go directly to Hispanics, but just being nice and helping each other out when we need it, whether it's maybe if we need a translation or whatever it is. Yeah.
I think that also I could add appreciating the culture without appropriating it is really important. So you can, like, for example, Halloween costumes, that's, I know, a big issue. So if people also are just more educated on the culture instead of, coming to the Hispanic students, you can Google, there's, you have the internet, so I think that's also important.
Okay, I think we're up and running. Vanessa, can you elaborate on what you mean by not appropriating the culture?
Cultural appropriation is, I know, a big issue, has been a big issue, but like I said, the example with Halloween costumes, like, you don't want to dress as like a Native American, you're not Native American, all that stuff, you don't want to make fun of Hispanic culture when you're trying to appreciate it. I don't have anything on the top of my mind right now, but like, for example, I know we're in a mariachi, and that's a beautiful way to appreciate Hispanic culture through music, also through art and just literature. Go out, read books from Hispanic authors, and just expand your vocabulary, and yeah.
Veronica, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I think it's just a simple saying, don't give into stereotypes. I know a big thing was the sombrero with a big mustache, the poncho. That's not really what Hispanic culture is, and in reality, like, Hispanic culture is from anything from Mexico all the way down to Chile, and also the Latino culture, so like Brazil and all the other countries from South America that don't necessarily speak Spanish.
Thank you guys for elaborating on that. Other questions from the audience? Now that we got a second mic working here. Sorry for the feedback. Thank you, Morgan.
Hello? What are some pressures at home that affect your day-to-day life or lives?
Both of my parents are immigrants. My mom speaks both English and Spanish, but my dad speaks only Spanish. And throughout the years, my Spanish has wavered because I mainly speak English here at school. So throughout the years, it's gotten a bit difficult to communicate, but through classes, taking Spanish, it helps. And also communicating with other Hispanics here help.
Well, I know a big thing, like Vanessa said, translations. It's really difficult to explain to my parents that we have to pay $95 for an AP test for a score that I might not even get. again, I'm the youngest of three, so they already went through the high school and all of that. But it's just, so I'm lucky enough that they have some experience, so they know like what, oh, I have to take the SAT and all of that. And of course there's pressure to do it, but they don't understand also how hard it can be. Yeah, and that's a really good question, Morgan.
I also like Lizzie, and both my parents are immigrants also. I know my dad has done a lot to get to where he is at this moment. You know, he's principal and he's done a lot for our family, and that also comes with a lot of pressure to do really well in school and just, take every opportunity you have handed to you, chase every opportunity that you can get. And I think especially with college and stuff, it's like, financial stuff that can also play into that. And because like I said, we are in a mariachi, so that kind of helps us stay in touch with our culture, but it's also a culture shock not only for us, but for our parents because they aren't from here, and that can be sometimes difficult to grasp. So.
Thank you, ladies. Other questions? While you're thinking of one, and I know that you are, a question: how, as the school, can we better increase lines of communication with your families? I know we have Parent Square. I don't know if that's effective or if there are other ways of reaching out to make the Hispanic families feel more welcome.
Maybe there could be more like meetings with like the principal or like teachers, more meetings for parents on things like that, like more outreach.
In person meetings.
Yeah, or even like Zoom or online ones too.
Mm-hmm. I'd also like to add to that, I think that's really important because I don't think as a student it's your responsibility to translate something for your parents. I think that there should be more resources for your parents to hear it firsthand from people who know what they're doing. And yeah.
Again, what like Vanessa said, we have student square and parent square, but it always ends up with me having to translate the messages for my parents that they receive. And again, I feel like it's giving that opportunity to create a relationship with the staff despite the language barrier. I know personally from when I went to Matilaha, having Mr. Ramirez as the principal really helped my parents to go up to ask questions and basically like be like, oh, is everything all right? Because they didn't have that form of communication before.
Thank you. All right, I know you guys have been sitting there thinking of a question here. It's hard to sit up there and stare back at you, so come on, I know there's somebody brave out there who's got a question you want to ask our panel. All right, ask them.
Have there ever been any aspects in your life in which culture has not clashed?
I mean, I feel like my cultures clash every day. From going to school to going back home, I know I'm not fully assimilated to this culture or the one at home. So it's really hard to be able to balance the two. I know I've had circumstances where I felt like I didn't fit into one or the other. Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to balance the two. On Saturday we had Ojai Day, and I was part of the Aztec dance group, which is part of ancient Hispanic Mexican culture. And we were just walking down in our dresses and our feathers, and it's nice when people stand and take pictures, but at the same time we do need to get going. So yeah.
I'd like to add on to what Veronica says about kind of it's hard finding a balance, because I know this is a really common thing, a lot of people hear this, but it's like when you're at school and there's like, either a group of like Hispanic kids, you're you're too white for the Hispanic kids, and then when you go, you're too Hispanic for the white kids. So it's like hard to find that balance between people. And then also just like a lot of my family doesn't speak English, so it's kind of difficult to share certain things that are happening at school with them. And yeah.
I'd like to add on to that because my grandparents don't speak English like basically at all. My grandpa speaks very little to like none, so he has a very like huge accent. And I speak mainly English. I barely know Spanish, and it is so hard to like be able to talk to them about things that are happening in school or like in general. I don't really talk to them a lot, and it clashes like all the time. Like mainly speaking English or just mainly being more like into white culture than I am with like my roots and things like that. And it's just a huge struggle.
Thanks, ladies. We have time for one more question. Thank you, Renee.
What are different things the school could do to help with the challenges that you talked about earlier in this meeting?
Honestly, it's just to listen and try to have an attempt to make something happen for a change.
I think having an environment where, like this, honestly really helps because we get to share our experiences and then maybe someone out there can relate to something. And I think, yeah, it's important to just create an environment where you feel comfortable enough to share your experiences.
Well, we are running short on time for this seminar session, but this does not have to be the last panel we have, either for our Hispanic students, but we also have other opportunities to do this, and I think what I'm hearing is this is a valuable opportunity for students to have their voices heard and for us to hear some universal truths that I think we all share and we all want to share, and that is just respect for each other and seeing each other beyond just the superficial characteristic traits that we might display to one another. So I hope that you guys have had an opportunity to take a few things from our panel. As our panel has mentioned, I hope there's some things that people might be able to relate to. And if anybody out there has an inclination to have another panel on a variety of topics, please reach out to your administrator, reach out to your teachers who then can relay the message to us, because we do find these opportunities very valuable. So again, please thank our panel for their courageous effort out here. Thank you, Monica, Izzy, Vanessa, and Valerie. Thank you so much for being brave enough, to get up here in front of us and share some of your personal stories. And hopefully we've all gained a little education from it. So ladies and gentlemen, this will conclude our seminar. If I could ask everybody